Liverpool sail past Arsenal, Chelsea survive at West Brom, and Leicester humiliate Man City at the Etihad. What's up and welcome to All Balls, the show that keeps you up to date with all the Premier League action and fantasy football tips. We are talking about all the matches of Game Week 3. With me, beside me is Rahul Bell as usual. Before we get into the matches, Rahul, let's talk about the VAR, the most discussed topic this weekend.
Shocking. So there's a stat that in 2017 and 18, there were 6 penalties given for handball over a span of 380 games. And there are 6 penalties that have already been awarded this season in 3 game weeks, which is, if I'm not mistaken, 28 games. The projected rate is 88 penalties given only for handball at this rate.
So is it ruining the Premier League?
Yes, it is. What are those decisions? How can you prevent your hand from hitting the ball when you cannot see the ball, when it is behind you?
Yeah, what happened in the Palace game?
Yeah, and in the Spurs game.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you go back to the United game, which was against Crystal Palace.
The first one,
yeah. I mean, the ball is going off target. That ball is never going in goal. It hits his hand. The Doherty handball. Some are given. The Gabriel handball was not given. So I don't understand how they are, like mending the rule, or how they are coming to the conclusion that, okay, it is a handball, okay, it is not a handball. Because all decisions that have been given, there are hands away from the body. The decisions that have not been given, the hand is away from the body. True. Some are affecting play, some are not affecting play. Kai Havertz against West Brom, the last goal, I mean, the ball hit his hand.
Yeah, but they didn't give it.
Yeah, I mean, there was an explanation given that, there was the play went on and after a while a goal was scored. But it started from there, right? There was an offside rule which, if the player was in front of the goalkeeper and did not touch the ball but was in his vision, he was still considered in play. This is a player in play.
How do you think the Premier League is going to rectify this?
I don't know. They have to rectify it. One is, I think, if that's the case, delay it a little further and have the referee take all the calls. Because
no, but it's clearly spoiling the game. This is a weekend in which maximum personalities in football have come out and spoken about all these things. Yeah. At least 3 or 4 managers have done that. Players have tweeted. So there's something to do. There will be some rectification which will come
last
into
season
this.
It was offside. This season it's handball.
Yeah.
I mean, to be very fair, Jordan Ayew last season against United post the restart was given offside for, I can't even give you the distance. Like David De Gea with his penalty save off his line was millimeters.
Talking about distance, do you think that with the VAR now, if suppose a player is about say 2 to 3 yards away, maybe, and if it hits his hand unintentionally and it's not a deliberate, maybe they play on without giving that as a foul. But what if a player is actually say 7-8 yards away and it hits him? I mean, distance has to do something in this.
No, but if I'm 7-8 yards away and you take a shot and I deliberately put my hand up,
so that's still a pen. But if I take a shot and if it hits your hand non-deliberately, that also could be a pen. But depending on the fact that you have enough time to remove your hand.
United PSG Champions League. I mean, the shot Dalot took, Kimpembe, it hit his hand. He was not even facing the ball, and that was from a great distance. So they have to come to a consensus with the offsides and the penalties and these goal line penalty saves, etc. But yeah, I mean, it is, for now, it is ruining the game. You're going to see a lot more penalties if this continues. If your hand is away from the body and the ball hits it, it's a penalty. So I don't understand this, but I think they will have to do something about it. So moving on to Liverpool Arsenal. My friend.
You're ready.
I am ready. 21 shots. Liverpool was ready. Arsenal wasn't.
True.
Okay. I'll give you one incident. And I don't think you have any more to say in the rest of the game. The Mane foul. Beginning of the game at 0-0. VAR had to come in. It wasn't given. There's a lot of talk about it over social media. There's a lot of discussions.
That was 100% a red card. There's no doubt about it.
Why do you think it's a red card?
Because he saw where the player is and then he put his elbow that way. I mean, normally an unintentional foul is something you don't see and it hits the other player. But in such a case, he saw where the player is and then he stretched his elbow even more. That is a 100% red card.
Okay, but have you not seen this same thing happen in other games and it not been given?
Of course, I have. And there's a good and a bad in both ways. So I'm not cribbing that the fact that Arsenal lost and and that's not the reason why we lost or anything like that.
Believe me, it's not.
Yeah, but the thing is that it should have been a red card according to me, and it would have changed the game for us and in our favor, I feel.
That wasn't the red card. You went 1-0 up without pressing the ball at all. I mean, I still remember when we were watching the game with the 442 boys, with Azim, Neville and Kautuk. Big shout out to them. Thank you guys for having us. Go check them out. They're a hilarious bunch. But anyways, when we were watching that game, and I think you kept on mentioning that Arsenal is not pressing. Arsenal is sitting back.
Yeah, that was the strategy.
So, despite not pressing, you still got that first goal.
Yeah.
It was
a lucky
crazy
first
mistake.
goal.
Agreed.
Yeah,
crazy mistake by Robertson.
Yep.
Complete mishit by Lacazette. You still got that first goal. What happened after that? Why couldn't Arsenal push on after that? You've got the first goal against the run of play. Why do you still sit back?
Kieran Tierney just came into the team, and I think it was his mistake in the first goal. It was a clear mistake. So he's just coming back. He was probably not 100% to face the likes of Salah and Mane, and Salah on his side, and so. It's something we conceded the second goal very early. So in that case, it kind of breaks the momentum. And honestly speaking, throughout the game, I think Arteta and the team also realized that probably the best bet is to control this Liverpool game in terms of how many goals they scored till the 60th or the 70th minute. And then after that, it's anybody's game. You have to understand
I don't understand this strategy because Barcelona, being the best team in the world, tried to do that. They tried to take a 4-0 and defend it, and they could not. So at a 1-0, I don't understand why Arteta thought that one goal is enough.
No, I don't think it was about the 1-0 also. I think before we scored also, the mindset was that go till 60-70 minutes, run the game, and then it's anybody's game with the players coming on. You have to, and come on, you're comparing Barcelona to Arsenal. We don't even have half the squad they have.
Agreed, but I'm just saying it's
when you
the
come
will
to
of players
Anfield,
to press, right?
Yeah, but when you come to Anfield, you have to play and you have to run the game and be in the game for a lot of time to create your chance to probably get something from that game.
It's not like you didn't have your chances. You had your chances.
Four shots.
You had,
I mean,
it was poor finishing.
It was poor finishing. Laka should have scored that goal. Yes. No doubt it would have been 2-2. Anything happens again.
Just the final pass. But again, that brings me to the point that if Arsenal is dependent so heavily on their wingers and your best players are your wingers in Oba and Willian, you don't have creativity through the center.
Yeah,
you started, not yet. Okay, you started with Xhaka and El Neni. Okay, there is no creativity. There is just screening and long ball or a shot in terms of Xhaka and El Neni.
Yeah.
There is no one ahead of him to play that through ball. Why does Arsenal still try to go through the center when your strength is on the wings? Your best player is playing on one wing. He's got the most amount of goals.
Liverpool have the best wingers. They have the best right back, left back. It is extremely difficult to go to the side.
But a championship side has exposed the right back and left back.
Well, they have, but they also probably have gone to the... You're talking about Leeds.
Yeah.
And they probably went to Leeds thinking that, let's play our total football, which they did, and they got the win. And with Arsenal, they've lost 2 games in the last, say, 4 months with Arsenal. And they must have probably felt that this is where we have to tighten up, and they've done that. They've worked really well on. Liverpool were fantastic. They've played complete football. They've played short. They've played long. They've played behind the line. They've played behind the man. They've done absolutely everything in that game.
I mean, thoroughly dominated.
66%
possession, 21 shots.
Yeah, and it's upsetting because if Arsenal don't sign the players which we have to, and it's not about our or Partey, it is Awa and Partey, because you've seen what the midfield is like at the moment.
You need that creative push in the middle.
And this is also probably going to be a season in which you'll have a lot of unexpected things happening with the virus, with certain things. Any top player could be out. You have to have somebody else to come in and to play accordingly. So
I mean, replacements,
and that's why I think that most of the teams have loaded themselves right now with midfielders, and Arsenal are lacking midfielders. We saw that yesterday. Their midfield outdid our midfield. So
clearly.
Yeah.
And replacements, what about Diego Jota? Debut goal?
Phenomenal. Amazing. At the top end, he got a goal. Yeah, he must be thrilled.
He will do it for them. Yeah. So it's disappointing for Arsenal. While I know you want to bounce back, but I love that frown on your face because I told you this is going to happen. Thank you.
Manchester United travelled to the Amex and got extremely, extremely lucky. Rahul, before we get into the game and your thoughts, they had 18 shots on target, 5 shots also that hit the post. What do you think?
I think they looked like a top 4 side and we looked like, those relegation battle sides. I don't want to say this, but I think they took us apart. They were hitting the post left, right and centre. The only spark we had was Bruno, probably Greenwood in instances. But apart from that, Van Bissaka was off. I mean, we got lucky because we still had a Bruno at the end of the 95 minutes that were played.
You know, initially when I was watching the game, I actually thought that the United defense looked so much better with Van Bissaka coming in, so much more solid. But somehow throughout the game, it just felt that United just weren't interested. I mean, where was that pressing? Where was that pressure? Brighton was doing it so well. They were doing it throughout the game. They probably, you know, got really unlucky at the end, but they had a fantastic game, Brighton.
I mean, they overpowered player to player. I mean, Lamptey always had the better of Shaw. Lallana was, I would say, a tinge better than a Pogba in the middle. Van Bissaka was mostly out of position towards the second half.
He was more defensive because he had to cover up for pace.
Yeah, he had to cover up for Lindelof and Maguire because, as we know, they will never track back in line. But yeah, I mean, it was just surprising how much time Solly March had in the box, how much time Trossard had to take those shots. They've hit the post 5 times. And here we're talking about Bruno completing 42 out of 50 passes. It's yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? On one place you're talking about a team that has hit the post 5 times. And for the other team you're saying, okay, my best player has completed 42 out of 50 passes and then taken 1 penalty. It just shows you the difference of, you know, energy and creativity that a team had.
Why that?
I really don't know. It's the second game I know. Like
you all also took, you all were out for fatigue. You'd expect to recover better.
God,
but
you
anyway.
have to get over that. But I'm just saying, it is very surprising as a United fan to see them play that way. The only positive would be that, you know, Maguire got something to do with the goals. You know, he got an assist.
On the other end.
Exactly. On the other end. He did something which was worth a contribution at the other end.
Okay,
and I mean, the end was, I know where you're coming to. The end was just absolutely mad. But the rule says that the incident happened before the full-time whistle.
I get what the rule says. Fair enough. 3 points are 3 points. But very quickly, what next for United? Like, what is the issue? Is it the signings?
No, it's not the signings. I've said this before. To beat Palace and Brighton, you do not need signings. You play
what's the fuss about then?
I don't know. You play a Marcos Rojo over there and you should still win that game. I don't know what is going on. Ole needs to change this around. He needs to turn the mentality. Probably, you know, with this last minute winner, there will be some confidence instilled. There'll be some momentum. Hopefully against Spurs. We're lucky with their squad injuries and their squad news that we've got after the last game week. Yeah. So that is something that we should exploit and hopefully we will. I mean, we'll start playing some football, pressing players, showing some energy, some character, and hopefully Paul Pogba will be Paul Pogba. So I can't really wait till the 99th minute to win another game because that is just heart attacks.
Palace versus Everton at Sellers Park. Everton maintain their perfect record since the start of the season and also have won their first 3 games since 1993. Rahul, how do you think?
I mean, it's a great stat, but again, it's a VAR decided game. Again.
Another
bad penalty to give, not by the defender, but by, you know, the referee. The decision was just one of those that we've spoken about earlier. But yeah, I mean, Everton do come out with the 3 points. Ancelotti is doing what he set out to do, which is making this side not a top half side, but a top 6 side. I mean, James Rodriguez is, I mean, his career has just come alive all over again.
Really?
First player to get 10, you know, create 10 plus chances.
This season,
Calvert-Lewin has come alive. Calvert-Lewin has suddenly become one of your top strikers in the league. He's getting a goal, you know, all games. He's working hard and, I mean, he's a good finisher, let's face it. And for Crystal Palace, I think, except for the header and a couple of more chances, I think their game revolves a lot around Zaha, which needs to change. But I've mentioned this before that, you know, the Townsend, the Jeffrey Schlups will fade out after the first few games. Which is why I see Palace now, after their first 2 wins, they will slowly start going down against these mid-table sides. Maybe not the bottom sides, but the Evertons, the Wolves, the West Hams will kind of get the better of them, if not just a draw. So yeah. Moving to Burnley versus Southampton at Turf Moor. Danny Ings getting the only goal of a pretty non-exciting game. Burnley had their chances. I mean, they had a couple of goals disallowed. They had, you know, some good saves from McCarthy. But all in all, I think a pretty average game to watch. Danny Ings amongst the goals yet again. And Burnley still looking for their first points this season. Sheffield at home to your Leeds. Sheffield still not off the mark with the goals. Leeds getting the goals. Bamford, first player in 53 years, 3 goals in 3 top flight games. Also involved in 4 goals in 3 games for Leeds. What do you make of that game? What do you make of Leeds?
Good game. Honestly, it was a tight game till almost the end, and Sheffield did really well to keep Leeds quiet because they are known as a goal-scoring team. And Leeds pushed. 17 shots, finally got one in the end. So great game for both the teams, I think.
Hard luck for Sheffield. Maybe next week.
West Brom versus Chelsea. Definitely a game of 2 halves.
Surely.
What did you make of that?
Very bad defensively in the first half. I mean, Chelsea have had more errors leading to goals, which is 3 errors leading to goals more than any other Premier League team. I think Alonso has to go. There are no 2 ways about it. Thiago Silva had the worst debut he could imagine in the Premier League. And yeah, I mean, West Brom were just taking their chances.
You thought that Thiago Silva was going to kill it?
I really thought he is. I thought, clean sheet and stuff like that made Werner my captain and everything. I'm like, Chelsea is going to go at it.
I went with your belief and made him captain.
What do you mean my belief?
You
Half
were
the
saying
world's
golden
belief.
boot for Werner.
He'll still get it. Don't worry. If he stops drifting to the left and if Lampard just cuts that part of the field out, he'll be fine. I'm saying bad fall for Thiago Silva. West Brom took their chances. Chelsea came back. Yes, 75% possession. 22 shots. But like we mentioned in the pre, they've only won 3 out of their 7 games against newly promoted sides. And that stat came back to bite them here. I mean, they've kept 1 clean sheet in their last 21 away games.
Yep.
So that is something that should worry Lampard.
That is a worrying
factor.
And
this is without Kepa.
Yeah, this is without Kepa.
I mean, I can understand if Kepa's in, and again VAR comes into play for that last goal, which I truly believe hit Havertz's hand. Whether it influenced play, that is something, of course, the referees and all are better to judge. But VAR should have come in there because it clearly hit his hand. His hand was away from the body. Some of you Chelsea fans might agree, some of you might not. You can let me know if you do, but I do not care. But it did hit his hand.
So do you think Chelsea got lucky or do you think Chelsea then deserved a point?
I don't think Chelsea got lucky.
They
Chelsea pushed and pushed and pushed in the second half.
Was another thing.
Yes, they did. I mean, Havertz, came across, he got his creativity in that 1-2 with Hudson-Odoi where he got the goal. Chelsea was pushing. Chelsea wanted that goal. Chelsea got that goal. But then I think West Brom were a little hard done by with that decision. But take nothing away from Chelsea. I mean, after going 3-0 down, and I've mentioned this before, this is the kind of season that, even if you are 3-0 or 4-0 up at halftime, the game is not over because without crowds, there is no pressure and teams are going to go for it.
Their mentality was tested and they did rise to the occasion by salvaging a point.
Exactly, and I just feel that this is something, that might push them, even though it is 1 point against West Brom, but it's a fight back from 3-0. I think Thiago Silva will obviously reflect on this performance and come back stronger. Hopefully there will be no Marcos Alonso in the next game. Ben Chilwell will replace him. And hoping to see Azpilicueta at centre back. I mean, I was really happy to see Kovacic there, Kante there. Pulisic might just play the next game.
No, Pulisic is important and I think the Chelsea fans want him more than ever at this point.
Which then helps Werner come to the centre. So I see now Chelsea slowly getting, once they get their players back, ticking and hopefully doing better than what they did against West Brom. Late drama at the Tottenham Hotspur no-name stadium where VAR again comes in the last minute and puts another big frown on an already frowning Jose Mourinho, who walks down the tunnel before the game is over. But you think he got unlucky? I feel he did.
I feel he did unlucky. He got unlucky, definitely. But there's a big learning in this game. I think one of the things is that whether you're whatever team you are, with 1-0 you're not safe anymore, even if it's not your fault.
Because it can also.
Yeah, because it can go either ways now because of an error which has just happened or because of these rules. So, I mean, obviously Spurs is still a small team, but for the bigger teams now, with 1-0 also, you're not safe. You have to go out there and get a couple of goals more.
Exactly, and now he's lost his main goal scorer.
Yeah.
In Son, taken off at halftime. All you fantasy managers, I know you're crying right now, but there is a statement that he's not going to play versus United or before the international break, so you better look for a replacement. But yeah, I mean, apart from that, we discussed this in the pre-game. Newcastle is going to sit deep. Spurs will not be able to play that ball to Son. Of course, he did manage to hit the post twice. From distance, let me add. They did not... There was no penetration into the box. Again, they lacked that little bit of quality. That one Harry Kane cross which Lucas Moura touched in. But then again, like you said, that one goal lead is not enough.
It's not enough. It's not enough. Especially with the rules these days, it's definitely not enough.
I mean, they had lots of possession. Dalot made some crazy saves. Again, another fantasy option. He had 11 saves. He probably covered up the clean sheet points in those saves. But, I mean, yeah, Wilson took his chance.
Yeah, Wilson is there.
Good penalty, calm under pressure.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a goal scorer. He's getting his goals. But
I think Newcastle have got 4 points this season. They beat West Ham, and then they now got a point here. I think both of them were lucky in both these games.
Yeah, and somewhere I don't even blame Jose for getting mad at the press conference with the whole I rather give my money somewhere else than the FA.
To charity.
Yeah, I mean, wherever he wants to give it, that's his problem. He probably gives it to someone who helps his team play football creatively. But this VAR, I mean, there's something that has to change about this. For all you know, ball goes out, hits the manager's hand, and there'll be team getting penalties. So,
fingers crossed. Manchester City rocked at the Etihad by Leicester City. For the first time in 686 games, we've seen a Pep Guardiola side concede 5 goals.
And we've seen a City side concede 5 in 438 games. So that is... It's clearly the Etihad is rocked.
What happened to the citizens?
I don't know. I mean, they were taken by shock. Now, the entire City team and Guardiola is complaining that, they were sitting back and they were only playing on the counter. I don't see what's wrong in that. It's a strategy. You go to the Etihad, you play a Pep Guardiola side with that much quality. And, I mean, secondly, I don't see why a 450 million backline is complaining. You spend that much money and still in your backline.
Now, Ruben Dias has not yet arrived, but he will shortly.
That doesn't matter. You are playing an Everton reject and you are playing a defender who's been rejected by Chelsea, who's been relegated with Bournemouth, and he's come to City.
So you don't rate Nathan Ake?
Not at all. I don't rate Maguire, I don't rate Nathan Ake. I think even at left back, Mendy is vulnerable. Walker may be the pick of the defenders. But then again, in such a situation, you need Fernandinho dropping back. I know that's not ideal. You need him in the centre. But yeah, I mean, City have the players to keep the ball. They kept 72% possession in that game. And Leicester came out with 5 goals.
But they never seemed comfortable as soon as Leicester went in the front.
Yeah, that's because Leicester, Jamie Vardy's pace was too much for the defenders. Harvey Barnes' pace was too much for Fernandinho and Rodri. They are the kind of players who like to stay with the ball, play it around, use strength. They do not have that pace. Fernandinho, maybe a few seasons ago, had that. He doesn't now. I mean, the defenders are just not up to the mark. I mean, City is the first team to concede 3 penalties in one game.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can argue with any of those decisions.
All pens, clear pens.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other 2 goals were, a piece of art. That Maddison finish to beat Ederson from that distance and that angle.
What a goal, yeah.
Yeah, and that Vardy cheek. I mean, only a player who's confident playing against a side like City, I mean, he doesn't care who his opponents are. He will score. He was top scorer last season. He will do the same. I just hope his injury is not too serious. But then again, even after he was off, I mean, Yuri Tielemans didn't look like he was going to miss that penalty.
Yeah, but and what a game Yuri Tielemans actually had.
Leicester,
when they put their lineup out, actually, they almost were playing 5 or 6 defenders and using them in different positions, obviously. But it looked like a defensive lineup, but I mean, what just happened?
Exactly, and you mentioned that there was no NDD, so they might find it difficult.
Yeah.
I didn't see them find it difficult at all.
Yeah.
All I found was Pep Guardiola doing this all the time.
No, it seemed like they've come on a mission and they've downed City now. I mean, City won't have the confidence they had in the last.
You have Eric Garcia, who was probably at fault for 50% of those goals. He's not happy at City. His mentality is wrong.
No, he's not a Premier League. I mean, he's not going to last in the Premier League.
I mean, you clearly with his comments, over the last few weeks and towards the end of last season, he's just not happy at City. I mean, while I know Guardiola is a very highly rated manager and one of the best in the world probably, but he has to understand these things. And you can't play those guys against a player like Jamie Vardy. I mean, he's the only player to score 2 hat-tricks against you.
Correct.
Why would you play defenders who have not been playing in the team regularly? Why would you do that? Why would you put a Nathan Ake against a Jamie Vardy? Top scorer last season, Bournemouth got relegated last season. Something to do with team selections this season from top managers is something that's disturbing me. I think City will come back. They've been They've been hit by this very hard. They will come back, so I pity the team they are playing next. But good on for Leicester, man. They're 3 out of 3.
There is going to be a lot of chat, a lot of hype now with Leicester, and Leicester is one team which we all love, and let's see how they do. West Ham versus Wolves at the London Stadium. A wonderful night for West Ham, and before we start, we wish David Moyes a very speedy recovery with his coronavirus. What do you make of that game very quickly?
I think they were good goals. I mean, West Ham was sharp. They were off the mark quicker. The first goal was, a quick free kick and a very neat finish. And after that, I mean, they didn't look back. Wolves had all the possession, but like you said, there's still a team who is building.
They have
too
many
players.
Ins and outs.
Yes, ins and outs. That team will probably take some time to settle.
Yeah.
West Ham hopefully high on confidence. Wolves will surely come back. I mean, they're the kind of side with Nuno over there. They will come back. But I mean, West Ham is a team I want to see now after this 4-0 win, because this is one of their biggest wins.
Souček and Declan Rice was super solid in the middle.
And your favourite Mark Noble doesn't seem to be coming back in anytime soon.
But let's see what the Hammers can do.
Villa 3-0 winners at Craven Cottage. I mean, their homegrown boy, Jack Grealish, once upon a time supposed to come to United, but amongst the goals, also Hourihane and Tyrone Mings. So I think they had a good game. Villa yet to concede this season. Fulham on the other hand.
Emiliano Martinez, man. It makes me so angry that Arsenal have let him go. Leno suffered against Liverpool. He was not playing the best.
Not that Martinez would have done something.
No, he's much more calmer while playing out from the back. Okay. So, I feel
on the other hand, Fulham, I mean, they've conceded, 3 goals in each of their last 3 games. I mean, 3, 4 and 3 to be very precise. And I mean, Villa just looked the part. They've gotten the goals, which is something they didn't have last season, where they're scoring goals. They're keeping clean sheets as well. Martinez, of course, strengthening them at the back. And Jack Grealish doing what he does best, involved in the last 15 goals. So, bright start for Villa, but, let's see how they do when they come up against the bigger sides and the sides that, are stronger on paper and on the field to an extent. So, that is something to look out for.
Yeah, my only takeaway is that if you are planning to use your triple captain, use him against Fulham.
That's it for this episode of All Balls. Another exciting week of Premier League football. Lots of shocks, lots of upsets, and very, very bad VAR decisions. City getting shocked by Leicester at home. Chelsea getting shocked by West Brom, coming back though. And I mean, United
Arsenal getting shocked too by Liverpool.
And the fans getting shocked by Arsenal getting shocked. But anyways, United getting shocked by a penalty after the full-time whistle.
It's all about the shocks.
Lot to talk about this week. Lots has gone down. VAR being the biggest talking point. Do not forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon, follow us on Instagram, and stay tuned for another episode of All Balls. Stay safe.